1992. She paid her way through college, becoming the first person in her family to have a college degree, which was a Bachelor of Science in Psychology from Multimedia University. She began her professional career as a casualty insurance adjuster and worked as a church administrator and managed her own business, which was, you have to excuse me, I haven't had my contacts in 6 weeks, so I lose my legs frequently. Her own business as a distance running coach. Longtime community volunteer, Vicki has worked with Girls on the Run, Boy Scouts, Run Away, created and directed youth fitness camps, and served as a leader of the Information Center's Final Mile running program. In 2015, she formed Parents and Teachers on Accountability and Grading. She's passionate about special education, a cause close to my heart, and a cause close to hers, as she serves as the guardianship role for her uncle who has Down syndrome. Her husband, a naval officer, and she's proud to represent support military families in her school. She and her husband enjoy supporting their 2 sons in soccer, baseball, volleyball, and wrestling. They're strong supporters of our local military community, and she is an avid distance runner, completed the ultramarathon and many marathons. In addition to that, I'd like to say that we appreciate the fact that Mrs. Manning often asks the hard questions, and when positions come before the school board, she would like to know the facts supporting those proposals. I'd like to welcome.
Thank you all for having me. It's an honor to be here today. Thank you for all the elected officials in the room for coming and showing their support as well, and for being here. As Marlena said, I've been on the school board for about 1.5 years now. It's an interesting experience, but the best part of it for me is I'm honored to represent the citizens of Virginia Beach and to be a voice for the citizens of Virginia Beach. John Moss is a person that I look up to in city government, and John is a true servant leader, and I aspire to be that servant leader for our community. So what I'd like to talk about today is just kind of some of the different topics that we've been dealing with, and things that we've accomplished over the last year on the school board, as well as just some things that are that I'm passionate about. One of the things that we talked about this year that I'm really excited about is that we're going to be banking 2 virtual learning days, October 9th and November 6th. Those are currently a professional learning and a staff day. And rather than, some schools are saying, hey, we're going to do online learning for our inclement weather days. So what the superintendent and staff's decision to do was to let's try it out before we go out there and say we're going to do online learning days. Let's make sure that our students and our teachers are prepared to be able to handle that. So how that's going to work is these days have been designated, and students are going to be assigned work to do on those days, but they're going to have some time to complete that work. They're going to have a couple of weeks most likely to complete that work. It's not necessarily going to be online work. Some of it may be, but they can also do that in school, after school, working with their teachers. But it's another way for us to kind of think outside the box and to deal with the inclement weather days. Last year we had a lot of those. So it would be nice to have those rather than adding the time on at the end of the day, etc. Another thing that we tackled was Family Life Education Curriculum Update. This curriculum had not been updated since 1990. So a lot of material was just, pictures were outdated. There wasn't really many online resources, things like that. So we have to abide by the state's educational standards for family life education. And there was a committee, the staff created the curriculum, and then we had a committee of school board members. Myself and Carolyn Weems were on that committee, as well as a bunch of different community members. We had a judge on there, we had teachers, we had people from the medical community, we had a representative from the Human Rights Commission, we had clergy, and we all reviewed all of the curriculum. School board members got a packet of information with all of the curriculum that we looked at. Some of the things that we included were stress management and resistance to peer pressure, parenting skills, substance use and abuse, child abuse, prevention of sexual assault, dating violence. We even talked about the dangers of sex trafficking, which is a real thing here, even in our city, and a lot of people don't realize that. One thing that I really liked about this curriculum was at the high school level, it may even start later in middle school, we tell the students about how much it costs to raise a child and the realities of being a parent. So those are some of the things that are included in our family life education, and I was pretty pleased with the curriculum that that was developed for our students. Opioid awareness. I wish my colleague Carolyn Weems was here. Carolyn has done so much to bring awareness to the topic of painkiller addiction, really is what it is. And our staff, our former director of academics, teaching and learning for Virginia Beach Schools is Dr. Amy Cashwell. Unfortunately, we've lost her. She's now superintendent of the regular schools. She worked along with Carolyn Weems to create opioid awareness education for our school district. And it was just adopted this year in our state legislature to be used in schools across the state. So that is going to be taught to our students across the state, the dangers of prescription painkillers. So I'm really excited about that. Accreditation is the next topic. So the superintendent just released last week, I believe it was, that we are anticipated to receive 100% accreditation in Virginia Beach Public Schools this year. That won't actually be official, I believe, until October, but they made the announcement. And a lot of people say, well, what does that really mean? What does accreditation mean? And so for this past school year, what accreditation means is at the elementary and middle school level, for English, students would have to score 75% or higher on the SOLs. Math, science, and history is 70% or higher. High schools would need to achieve 75% in English and 70% or higher in math, science, and history. Those are percentages of SOL scores in overall scoring.
Scores at 75.
75, their pass rates have to be 75% or more. Yeah, so it's pass, advanced. They have different scoring for the SOLs. You have different ratings for the SOLs, pass, advanced, pass, and so they have to have that percentage of students that have those pass rates for the SOLs. And then at the high school level, you also have 85 or greater on the graduation completion index. I'll show you that on the next slide. And something that a lot of people don't know is that once a school earns full accreditation, they automatically receive, for 3 consecutive years, they're automatically accredited for the next 3 years.
What's the point of that? I mean, if they run down hill, what's the point?
So the graduation completion index that I mentioned earlier, I'm sorry this slide it's kind of small, but I didn't really even know what the graduation completion index was. I had to look this up. So it's a set of point values that are given to each student. If you are a graduate and you graduate with a diploma, it's 100. If you have a GED, it's 75. If you're still in school, still working on it, it's 70. If you have a certificate of a completion program, it's 25. If you're a dropout, it's 0. Those scores are averaged out and you come up with a graduation completion index. And in Virginia schools, in high schools, that index has to be 85 or greater. So now that I've told you about what the accreditation guidelines were, forget about all of that because it's all going to be brand new next year. Now they're going to figure the accreditation, and I don't fully understand it. We're still asking some questions about it, but essentially it's going to be moved more to overall proficiency and growth. For English and math, overall proficiency for science, achievement gaps are going to be included, absenteeism, the graduation and completion, dropout rates, as well as college, career, and civic readiness, that's something new. I'm happy to see that career readiness in there as part of it. There's also going to be 3 different levels of accreditation, or not necessarily accreditation, but different performance levels. Level 1 means that the school meets or exceeds the standards, or has shown sufficient improvement. Level 2 is near standard or making sufficient improvement, and level 3 is that they're below standards. So I'm still up in the air on whether or not I like this new accreditation. Still trying to keep it open.
On performance levels, are you talking about as well?
It's all of those different things that I talked about. It's not just the SOLs. It's growth, it's different things. So to be accredited in the new guidelines, schools with all indicators at either level 1 or 2 will be accredited. Accredited with conditions, schools with 1 or more of the school quality indicators at level 3. And then accreditation denied, schools that fail to fully implement corrective actions to address level 3 indicators. So you could be at the level 3 and still be accredited if you're trying to address the problems. So, again, I don't know how much I like this. Overall, it seems like it could be better than the old way. We'll see. Oh, one thing I would like to point out, and we asked this question, and perhaps Senator DeSteph might be able to help us out. I don't know if the superintendent has gotten an answer yet. The last time I asked him, he had not. So they have told us that our students will still be taking the history SOLs. But they've also said that they won't count. So I don't know what that means, and how that's going to move forward. So I think we're supposed to wait for questions.
Well, I was going to explain the history thing if you want.
No, we're holding everything
Okay.
until the end. We're
Not a
letting
problem.
it not.
Okay, not a problem.
Okay. So school climate, this is something that I've been discussing for the last couple of years, especially since the school board received the 2016-17 climate survey. You can go to my website, and I have the detailed results on the website with the link to Virginia Beach Schools that also has that survey in detail that was taken by our teachers. And I was very, very concerned about the results of the school climate survey. It indicated that we have some major problems with student discipline in our schools and teachers not being supported. 36% of middle school teachers stated they are not treated with respect by students. 38% of middle school teachers stated there are not high behavior expectations at their schools. These are just 2 examples that I pulled out. I've got lots of other examples if you'd like to look at on my website. This was a survey conducted by Virginia Beach Schools. And these numbers were up significantly compared to the survey that was conducted 2 years prior. The survey is done every 2 years. And so I encourage you to go on the website and take a look at for yourself in detail the questions that were asked and the responses that were given. Over the last year, I have been, as well as I think the school board in general, has been receiving messages from teachers, especially teachers, but staff also, bus drivers, parents, regarding student discipline problems in our schools. I have just a few of the ones that I've received over the last year here, and I want to highlight some of the things that have been told to me. In a phone call that I had from a teacher just this last May, an elementary school teacher, discipline problems are increasing and getting out of control. Students urinating all over the bathroom on purpose. Fights happening frequently. It's almost impossible for a student to get OSS, out of school suspension, even with violent behavior. There's an exodus of teachers at our school. Very good teachers are leaving their profession. 2 teachers left in the middle of the year. When students are disrupted in the classroom, the answer is to send them to the library where they often play video games. Rumor that an order was sent to principals to reduce referrals. These concerns were shared with my principal, but no changes were Another message from a teacher in February 2018. Teachers are more afraid than they have ever been. They do not feel like they get backing from their administration. I feel that discipline issues are obvious. When teachers are forced to keep the students in their classrooms, the quality of instruction is diminished, etc. From a bus driver. I can write up numerous referrals. Sometimes they go unanswered, and other times the child, who is a multiple repeat offender, gets another talking to and me with suggestions on how to better handle that student. We can't say anything for risk of losing our jobs. These children are rude and disrespectful, and they don't care because they know they won't get in trouble. From a parent, this was a letter sent to me and all of my colleagues on the school board. Lately, I'm concerned with the number of fights and disruptive behaviors I'm hearing about at the school. The growing problems reached a boiling point Tuesday where there were an estimated 5 to 6 fights in one day. Bullying in the hallways, both physically and verbally, is rampant based on multiple conversations with neighbors in the community. Lately, the fighting and social media games are getting crazier by the day. This week, I saw on Instagram live videos of fights. Kids were rooting for each other to fight like an MMA fight. That's just a small number of examples of the emails, the phone calls, the one-on-ones that I've received personally, and I know our school board has received some of them. I have another anonymous letter from a teacher that was sent to me, and I forwarded it on to my colleagues and the superintendent, a teacher in an elementary school. And all of these, by the way, are from different schools in the district at different levels. It's not all the same school. I reported these to my colleagues on the board and to Dr. Spence and shared. I'm very concerned about these issues. School discipline and school safety are correlated. This is the message that I sent to my colleagues. Over the last year, I've been expressing concerns regarding student discipline problems in our schools. I constantly hear from teachers throughout the district who share the same concerns that are in the attached anonymous letter, but they fear speaking out on record. The anonymous letter was the teacher letter that I received. I also received a text message 2 days ago from a licensed professional counselor in Virginia Beach. She said, "I'm hearing from teachers that they are very afraid in schools. They need to know that the school system is protecting them so they can teach kids and learn. I'm asking for this topic to be put on the agenda for discussion as soon as possible. I believe this is not only a discipline concern, but also a safety issue." I sent this message several months ago. This is the response that I received from the superintendent. "It undermines our processes for resolving concerns with teachers and parents when it is reinforced by an individual board member that contacting the board is an appropriate means to having their concerns resolved, and that they will need to be protected by the board for division leadership." So that told me there that the superintendent was not going to address my concerns about student safety. I brought it to him. It's his job to address those concerns, not me as an individual board member. I sought his assistance on this, and I have not received any response that anything is going to be done about it. And I've also not received any support from my colleagues except for Carolyn Weems in regard to this issue. This is an issue that I'm not going to stop talking about. I have spoken with our state legislators about these problems. I've spoken with people across the state and across the country. These problems are not just here in Virginia Beach City Public Schools. These are nationwide. If you look at what's most recently going on up in Baltimore County Schools as an example, bullying is rampant, and teachers are being told to handle the problems themselves in the classroom. And I understand that. I understand you don't want to just refer every student that, talks out of turn. A teacher does need to properly manage the classroom. But there are times that a teacher has to send a student out because they're disrupting the class. The teacher cannot teach and deal with those behavior problems. And teachers are telling me that they're being told that they've got to keep those students in the classroom. So grading practices, this was a topic that it's essentially one of the reasons why I decided to run for school board several years ago. And again, you can go onto my website. I have detail. I spent dozens and dozens of hours combing through all of the grading practices of every single one of our schools, and I summarized those, and they are on our